So it's time once again for a brand new Rants review, and this time we are checking out another game from the OP. This is Stalk Exchange. This is a whole game about flowers and using them to grow a market. Let's open this up and talk a little bit more about it. It's 2 to 5 players. It takes about 45 minutes to play. We won't be going through the entire gameplay, of course. But it's for people 10 and up. And if you are a big fan of kind of hobby style games, really kind of interesting concepts, this is definitely one I would highly recommend checking out. Okay. Inside the box. So you got to skip the rulebook scan. That gives you a video of how to learn how to play. I love that companies are doing this nowadays because it really means that people who don't do well reading but do well seeing people perform it, they can jump into the game a little bit faster. Really cool option down the line. I love that. Then we have, of course, a suggestion of other games from the and I've checked out Art Aqua, Ang Destiny, Express Route, Perfect Wave. These are all really great games. Gnome Hollow is also really good, and now we're checking out Stalk Exchange. Okay, so we got a bunch of chipboards that specifically give you pieces to pop out and use in the game, little sheds, and then it looks like these are like board areas. Yeah, board areas for the game. The Stalk Exchange, and then it looks like a player score tracker. Nice. Oh. Okay, so these are actual tokens. I love it. They put it in these bags. We've got compost, and then we've got greenhouse. And inside here we have what looks to be flower bulbs on one side, and then flowers on the other. And they have little kind of colorations to show you what kind of flower bulbs they are. It looks like in here it's the exact same thing. Really nice. Scorecards, additional zip bags, and then little tokens indicate the types of flowers. Really cool. They do have this little tracker. It does go over quantity equals points, the value for them, the name of the player, the total points at the end. Yeah. So when you start the game, you're going to take all of the flower tokens. Although they come in the box in one bag, you're going to take them all and put them all in. Even though they come in 2 bags, you're going to take them all and put them into the one bag, the greenhouse bag. There's a specific reason for this is because all of these flower tokens are technically in play. And so you're going to take them all and place them in the greenhouse bag, leaving the compost bag empty. The greenhouse bag is a method of keeping track of the game. Once the greenhouse bag is empty, that's a lot of flower tokens, the game is over. And that's just how it is. The compost bag is your discard pile, where you basically are going to distribute out all those pieces. You can set the score tracker aside for now. That'll come back later. And for each active player in the game, you're going to want to take apart and disassemble their shed. Also, in every piece, there is a player action phase token. This is designed specifically to help prepare you and get you through the turns. So you're going to take your little shed. Oh, let's put these out so you can actually put it together. We'll use the shovel to help us. Gardening tools to the rescue. And then this is going to represent your portfolio. So all players keep their hand of flowers hidden behind their sheds which I love. And now when you start the game, there are varying amounts of flower tokens each player will get. So if you're playing 2 to 3 players, each player will take 12 flower tokens out of the bag and put it in their hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to hide these behind my portfolio shed. That way, no one can see it and know what I have. Also, in the 2 to 3 player games, all players will get 3 spades, which are considered CD tokens. These CD tokens can be used specifically to get extra actions on your turn or to change up the market, which we'll go over in a second. Then you're going to set up the Stalk Exchange and the tracker board. Now, the Stalk Exchange is a place where all of the flowers are basically going to be grown from and also played through as a kind of like a deck that you pull from in the game. You're going to take all of the flower tokens, the hard flower tokens here, and place them all in 0. This represents their value currently in the Stalk Exchange. Then you're going to fill up the Stalk Exchange with flowers at random from the greenhouse bag. And then put your compost bag to the side. Again, that represents your discards. So whenever you take anything out of there, they're going to go into that pile. Now on your turn, you have 2 actions that you can take. You can plant flowers from the Stalk Exchange, or you can swap a flower from your hand. The reason you might want to do this is, say you're looking at the numbers on the board and you see a certain flower on the board here in the Stalk Exchange is a better value than what you have in your portfolio. You might want to swap one of those out from there to get that different flower. And then on your turn, though, for the planting, you can take a flower from the Stalk Exchange and place it anywhere you want on the board, and that represents a bulb for the flower. It is planted. You can see a little icon on it that showcases what it's going to become, the color it is, the type of flower, and that's how that stays. You get to do 2 actions at the beginning of the game. We'll plant 2 bulbs. And then what happens next is you go into the harvest phase. If there are any flowers that are on the exchange and fully surrounded like this, you can then harvest that and place it on the board. If they are not surrounded by, say for instance, they have a second flower of the same type, that has become a flower group, and that means that you can only harvest all of those flowers once all of them are matched. So for instance, if this was like this, these would be a flower group that is fully surrounded. Now it can be harvested. And then you would put those on the tracker board. But once you do that phase of seeing if you can harvest, you now go into the bloom phase. And all bulbs on the board that is surrounded by at least 1 open space blooms. So if you do have a bulb that is fully surrounded by flowers, unfortunately, it will not bloom. So it will stay a bulb. Just to give you an idea of how that works. But hypothetically speaking, those 2 were planted and they bloom. The next phase is you're setting the stock market. What's going to happen here is you're going to take the last one on the right and you're going to throw it into the compost bin. It's gone. Gone, gone, gone. You push over to the right, all the flowers on the stock market, and then you refill the stock market with their flowers pulled at random. And that represents a whole turn action. Now keep in mind, you want to pay attention to the value of your flowers the game is going. For instance, if we were to see the board like this, you would take these 3 flowers out during the harvest phase. You'd put them on the tracker, showcasing 3, and then you would take that flower and bump it up to the rank of 3. That is its current value in the market. That flower is worth 3 victory points. Currently, each flower you have. In my hand, I have 4 of those flowers in my portfolio. That is going to make me want that flower to be valuable. So right now, these 4 flowers are worth 12 victory points. That's very kind of cool, very well set up, good to go. Your portfolio isn't going to increase. Your portfolio is always going to stay the same number of flowers. It's just what the value of the flowers are. And you can swap the flowers out with different flowers as you go along. But keep in mind, at the end of the game, the highest value flower busts and then becomes half of its value. So if you end this game with this at 10 and the game ends, that would then become 5. And that is not as valuable as maybe one that was a 7 or a 6. So you kind of want to have more of the second rank flower in your portfolio than the first rank when the game ends. The next thing you're going to be going, as you're going through the game, you're going to be trying to work through and increase the value of other plants, getting them out and putting them on the board. Once the board gets to the point where the flowers on the tracker meet the number of highest value of the flower, the game will end. Or another option is if the greenhouse ever runs out of flowers and it's emptied, then the game ends. From that point forward, you would look at the number or the placement of flowers on the board, and you would see what's in your portfolio. So pretending we've already kind of cut that in half, this is worth 6, this is worth 6, so that's 12. These 4 are worth 3 each, so that's worth 12. 24, the whites are worth 2, so that's 4, so 28. These ones here are worth 4 each, so that's 36, and these ones are worth 1 each, so 38. That'd be my total score. It's a lot easier to track out the score on this pad because you can write down how many you have, what the value in the market is currently at the end, and then get the total value of the score, which is really kind of helpful. This is great for that. But the last thing we haven't talked about is what you can do with these CD tokens. Now, we said earlier that you can use the CD tokens specifically to get an extra action, 1 per action. You can also flush the Stalk Exchange. So what that allows you to do is take the whole Stalk Exchange, this whole thing here, and dump it in the compost, allowing you to place it on the board with whole new plants. You can only do it once per game, regardless of how many CD tokens you have, but it's a really powerful action. Once you're done with your CD tokens, you just put them in front of your shed with the blue setup so everyone knows you spent it. You only get the amount of CD tokens you get per game, and you do not get them again. Once they're spent, they're spent. So keep that in mind. Maybe the late stage in the game is when you want to use these for extra actions, and flushing the stock market would be better, of course, when you know what's going on in the game. Well, hope you guys found this helpful. Hopefully you guys pick this up because it's a really cool game. Like, it's dope. I really love the style and the way they did this, and I love the puns. Again, it reminds me of the tulips and how they basically became very valuable, and how the market kind of busted and they were out of these tulips worth nothing because tulips die. So it is what it is. Hope you guys pick this up. This is a really fun game, and we'll see you guys next Friday for our next Rants and Review. Bye.